Okay, so today we're going to come to the last in the run of percentage change work that we've done over the last few lessons. We started off last week with percentage change using multipliers, and these sort of questions are your D questions, really, grade D, where you're just being given an original value that's either being increased or decreased, and you have to work out what the value becomes. From there we went to more grade CB questions when we were looking at compound percentages, compound increase, interest, depreciation, where things were being multiplied a number of times by a multiplier. And where we're coming today is a rock solid grade B piece of percentage work. And that's really important that you realise this is grade B. So on an intermediate tier paper, if you get a question that's on percentage change and it's in the second half of the paper, it's question number 17 or 16, it's quite far down the paper, it's extremely unlikely to be this straightforward method we were looking at last week. It's important that you can spot the type of question that we're going to be looking at today, and once you spot it, as long as you practice the method, it's really easy grade B marks. And we're going to be focusing very much still on this number machine idea where you've got your original value. We're going to push that through a multiplier that's either going to increase or decrease the value, and we're going to have an output. What's going to be different today is we're going to be given the output and the multiplier, and we have to work out what the original is. So let's see what I've written on the notes. So at intermediate tier, you need to look carefully at the information in the question to see if you were being asked to find, that should be, not being to find, are being asked to find the increased or decreased value, which is low grades, early on in an exam paper, or you're being asked to find the original amount following an increase or decrease. Once this has been spotted, the solution is straightforward using the reverse number machine idea. I'll talk about that in a minute. So let's take a look at this question here. I buy a new pair of headphones for £76.80. The cost is inclusive of VAT. That means that the VAT has already been added to that amount. How much are they without the VAT? So VAT is something that it's a tax, a value-added tax that people pay when they're buying something which is deemed to be a luxury item, something like headphones. So I'm paying £76.80 for my headphones, and the VAT has already been included on top of that. So the VAT has been added, so my multiplier is going to take the original amount and it's going to add 20% to it, which gives me 120%, which I then turn into a decimal. 120 pence written in pounds will be 1.2 or 1.20. So if you think of the number machine idea then that we were using, you'd have your original, we'd times it by the multiplier, and that would give us the new amount, the inclusive amount. Increased value, yes, so that's the same as we were doing last Monday. The original value times the multiplier gives us the increased value. Now in our case, the original is what I don't know, is going to give me £76.80. So last week I was having an input, multiplying it by the multiplier and then getting that increased value out. This time I've got to go backwards. Now when you go backwards through a number machine, all you need to remember is that the operator changes to its opposite. So when I'm going backwards, I've got to do the opposite, which is divide by 120, 1.20, and that will give me the original. So this time I've got to do 76.80 divided by 1.20 equals 64. So the original amount, so 76.80 divided by 1.20 equals 64 pounds. The most common mistake that people make is to say, oh well, all I need to do is work out what 20% of that is and then take it off. But that will not give you the right answer, because you're working out 20% of a larger value than the one that you started with. So that's by far the most common wrong answer, is to do that method, and you will get no marks whatsoever. So you need to be watching for this question. It could come up on a maths paper, it could come up on a numeracy paper, more likely to be a numeracy paper, and it will definitely be in the second half of the paper. Let's try another. Following a 3% pay rise, Sally is now earning £46,350 per year. How much was she earning before? So that again is the original amount. So this time we've got a multiplier, which will be the original. She's had a pay rise. 103% of the original amount. As a decimal, 103 pence, written in pounds, 1.03. Exactly the same as we were doing last week. The original, which we don't know, times the multiplier, gives us what she was earning, 46,350. So to get the original, I've got to do 46,350 divided by the multiplier. So 46,350 divided by 1.03. She was earning £45,000. And she had a 3% pay rise, and it gives, she's then on the 46,350. So the original times multiplier gives you 46,350. The television was reduced in a sale, so it's going down by 26%. It cost Cassidy £710.40 in the sale. What was the original price? Was the original price means I don't know it. It's a reverse percentage. I have to go back. So my multiplier, so this step is the same as last week, will be 100%, but this time it's been reduced. So I'm going to take 26% off, which is 74%. 74%, 74 pence written in pounds, 74. So the original times the multiplier gives me the £710.40. And I want to work out what the original is, so I have to go backwards through my machine, which means I've got to divide by 0.74. So the original price will be £710.40 divided by 0.74. So before the sale, the TV cost £960. So The only thing that's different from the grades D questions we were doing last week to this grade B is spotting that it's not the output you want, it's the input. And to do that, once you've established what the multiplier is, you go backwards through it. You do the opposite. So we won't be multiplying, we'll be dividing. There's one other thing to bear in mind is that it's possible that they could ask you a question like this on a non-calculator paper. And that method then is a little bit different because it's easier to keep things in terms of the percentage rather than turning into a decimal. So in a sale, the prices of electrical goods have been reduced by 20%. So we've got a 20% reduction, so I know that I need to be thinking about that with my multiplier. Logan buys a portable Bluetooth speaker for £72. I bought the same speaker before the sale. How much did I pay? So I paid the original amount. The multiplier will be 100. It's a reduction, so I'm taking the 20% off. So I'm going to be paying 80%. Sorry, he's going to be paying 80% of what I paid. So this time we leave it as a percentage. So original times 80% gives me not 76, 72. Okay, and that's what I paid. Now remember, we're not allowed to use a calculator this time. So what we do is the same way you work with other percentages with the calculator. First of all, we find 10%. So to find 10%, in order to turn 80 into 10, I've got to divide by how much? What if I could divide 80 by to turn it into 10? 8. Yeah? 80 divided by 8 is 10. So the original times 10%. Now if I divide that by 8, I have to divide this by 8 as well. So 72 divided by 8 is 9. 9 eighths is 72. So 10% of the original is £9. Now I want 100%. I want to know what 100% of the original is. So I've divided by 8 to give myself 10%. To go from 10 to 100, I have to multiply by 10, which means I have to multiply that by 10 as well. 9 times 10 is 90. So 100% of the original is £90. Logan paid 80% of the original, which is 72. So it's a two-step process. To go from 80 to 10, I divide by 8. If I divide that by 8, I have to divide that by 8 as well to keep the balance. Then I don't want 10%, I want 100%. So I'm going to multiply by 10 and then multiply that. So I paid £90. Okay, so it's a little bit different on a non-calculator paper. I would say it's more important, it's more likely you would get a question like that on a paper 2 where you are allowed to use a calculator. So if you think that two methods are going to confuse you, well, focus on the calculator allowed questions and make sure you get those right. And that's it. So what I want you to do now, there are 11 questions on the slides presentation for you to have a go at. Just like with the work last week, I'd really like it if you can at least write down the line of maths you're doing rather than just writing the answer. Answer's great if you get it right, but if you get it wrong, I can't help you because I don't know what steps you've taken to go wrong. So ideally, if you can write down what your multiplier is you're using, and then original price is the output divide by. If you can't find the divide symbol, it's a pain in the butt to find on a keyboard. You will use a sort of combination of key presses, just use the divide as a backslash. Okay, so write 710.40 backslash 0.74. I'll know that means you've divided. Okay, give them a go. I'll set the deadline for after Tuesday's lesson, so you've got Monday's lesson and Tuesday's lesson to have a go at these questions. Please do your best. If you show me this grade B work, then that will really, really be pleasing.